Just about every company makes their own variation of a Fender Stratocaster, and I believe that the Yvette Young Talman by Ibanez is actually one of the coolest Strats on the market today, and that's because it mixes a unique kind of design with a lot of the traditional Strat features with a few modern updates. So let's discuss this guitar in detail, and at the end we have to discuss the price and again why I think this is actually a pretty unique choice on the market today. So we have to unfortunately start with a pretty big negative in my opinion. This guitar lists for $1,100 and I think that the specs are fantastic. We're going to discuss them, but it doesn't come with any type of gig bag or hard shell case. And for me, any guitar above $700 should definitely come with at least a nice padded gig bag. So no gig bag, no hard shell case. To me, that's one negative, but let's just continue starting from the headstock. I usually think that Strat style guitars look better with 6 inline tuners versus 3 per side, but this is one of the exceptions. I think that this headstock and tuner design and also the old school Ibanez logo, I think it looks really, really great on this particular guitar. And this comes with Goto locking tuners, which is great. And it also comes with a bone nut. So one other great thing about the signature model is that it's not an annoyingly crazy, flashy signature model. There's no Yvette Young written on the fretboard. There's not even an Yvette Young signature on the headstock. So even if you're not an Yvette Young fan, if you just want a unique Strat and you like the paint job, this might be a really good option for you. Now, as we move our way down to the neck, we of course have a pretty standard looking maple neck, but we have a satin back, so none of that sticky gloss stuff. And if you played a few different satin guitars, you know that there are a few different variations on the feel of the satin. I'm not exactly sure why that is, but they all feel different to me. This one feels very, very unfinished and very smooth. So I find it comfortable, and if you like a very unfinished raw wood kind of a feel, you should like the way that this feels as well. The neck shape on this guitar is also pretty cool. Again, you've probably seen me complain at some point in the past that every guitar has a boring modern C neck, but this doesn't have that. It has more of a D-type shape. It's a little bit flat on the back, but it's fairly chunky and it has a lot of shoulder. I'm not going to give you any exact measurements because Ibanez is one of the few companies that actually gives you really great measurements on their site. So I'll put it up here, the exact measurements, but take my word for it. Pretty big shoulders, pretty chunky, and a slightly flat spot in the back. I find it really comfortable, and also it's actually unique in this world of modern C necks. Now, the guitar came from Fender. This guitar came set up in a pretty unique way. Although it has a 6-screw tremolo, it came with all the springs in and the tremolo's hard against the body. Very heavy strings and an alternate tuning. I assume that's how Yvette Young likes to play her guitars. But I was able to get it back to a normal standard tuning with the trem floating, so that wasn't an issue. And overall, even with that tuning style, the setup was fantastic. There's no sharp fret edges, there's no fret sprout, and the leveling is great. And of course, that's due to the fact that Ibanez makes amazing guitars, but it's also due to the fact that I ordered this guitar from Sweetwater. And no, this video is not sponsored by Sweetwater, but whenever I can, I buy guitars from them because I have a very high likelihood that the guitar is going to come set up well with nice new strings, and I've just always had great luck with them. So I also linked some of my favorite Sweetwater gear below if you're interested. So as we continue with the neck, we actually have, I don't want to say they're small frets, but I think usually when you think about Ibanez guitar, you think of like these extra jumbo frets. And these are more of a medium style fret, so slightly more vintagey than you might expect from Ibanez. And then we have fairly simple black dots, and the side dots are luminescent, but they also look fairly simple. So interestingly enough, although Yvette Young is a very modern player, when we look at the specs of this neck, they're kind of vintagey. We have a 12-inch radius, maple neck, pretty chunky, medium-ish frets, and a bone nut. So yeah, this has very classic Fender vibes in my opinion, except we also have the locking tuners, which I think is great. So as we move to the body, we have to of course talk about the Talman shape and this really, really cool slime green paint job. When I look at the Talman body, it basically reminds me of a Fender or Squier Jazzmaster style guitar. So the shape is kind of like that, but the overall dimension is much smaller, like a Fender Stratocaster. So if you're someone who thinks that an offset style guitar feels comfortable but it's too big, you might find the Talman to be your preferred style of guitar. And in this case, we have this really, really cool, unique slime green finish. It's going to be hard to photograph, but it has a ton of glitter inside of it and it's green. If you grew up in the 90s or early 2000s, it's going to give you Nickelodeon vibes. So I think it looks really, really cool. And of course, a regular Stratocaster already has pretty good upper fret access when you have carving on it. But since we have this Jazzmaster style horn, we don't have to even worry about carving it because there's just nothing here to get in your way. And then also on the back of this guitar, we have that nice carving on the heel joint. So when you put your palm here, it's nice and smooth for you. So something else that's very unique about this guitar is that it comes with real Seymour Duncan pickups. So these are not like the cheaper versions. These are the actual, standard Seymour Duncan pickups. And they're the 2.5 single coils. I'm not really a single coil connoisseur, but they sound good. They sound like single coils. They sound like single coils. They're from a high quality brand. One thing that I did notice is that at least through my rig and the way that they're set up currently with the current heights, they seemed a lot hotter than I would expect out of a single coil guitar. And then we have a Wilkinson 6-screw style vibrato bridge. Now, if you use 6-screw style bridges, you should understand what you're getting here. This is very, very vintage inspired. So we have the rolled steel saddles here. And the one negative thing I would say about this is that in order to adjust the tightness of the arm, you have to actually depress the whole tremolo and get your Allen wrench back inside of here. So it's a little screw way back in here that's hard to adjust, which is kind of frustrating. And you're definitely going to need to adjust it because this is a push-in style design instead of a screw-in style design. So I don't love the location of that screw, but at the same time, this is meant to be a very vintage style look. And if you had the screw on the top of the bridge, that would kind of ruin the vintage aura, I guess. Either way, now you know that's how you have to adjust the tightness of the arm. And then with the electronics, we have a normal 5-way switch. Obviously no push-pulls because it's all single coils. Master volume, master tone. So let's just talk about why I bought this guitar, the price, the features, and what I think overall. So I noticed a couple weeks ago, I was actually evolving into a little bit of a Fender fanboy behind the scenes. I didn't tell you guys this, but I bought this Jazzmaster by Squier. I absolutely love it. Also bought it from Sweetwater for a great price, but anyway, I love this guitar. I bought it with my own money and I've been playing it a ton. And then I was also lucky enough to get this Fender Stratocaster. This is a Fender American Professional 2. And it has Rick Toone's tremolo on here, along with some other mods that Rick Toone decided to do for it. And this guitar is fantastic. And so the Squier is about $400. The American Professional 2 before the mods is close to $2,000. I figured it would be a good time to try Ibanez style traditional guitar that's right in between at that $1,100 range. So in a world where everyone is making a Strat that looks pretty typical, but that usually feels a bit more modern, like Schecter and PRS, this is a Strat that looks unique, but feels traditional, which is an interesting take on that whole Strat spectrum. And I don't know what Fender is currently offering around $1,000, but this one is about $2,000. And again, I love it and it feels great, but it doesn't feel anywhere close to twice as good as this guitar. In fact, I would say that for me, the quality is pretty equal. So if you want something that's a bit more unique, but still very high quality, I very much recommend the Yvette Young Ibanez Talman, but also get a gig bag with it because it doesn't come with one. I'm still annoyed about that.